Oh, I don't pay for suits. My suits are on the house, or the house burns down.
Welcome back to the Red Right Hand Podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders. I'm Josh.
And I'm Curtis.
And we are back for Season 2, Episode 6, the season finale of Season 2. It always goes by so quickly.
That's why I was thinking I can't believe it's already the end of the season already, man.
In my head, I think there's like a lot more.
It feels like there could be a lot
episodes in
more.
the season.
Yeah, it feels like there could be a lot more episodes.
Yeah.
I wonder, because I think there's 6 episodes in every season, isn't there?
Yes.
Wonder why they stuck with 6.
I know, I like it because then at least if there is only like one filler episode, with a show that has 10, 12 episodes in a season,
Right.
there's going to be at least a couple that are just like throwaway episodes that don't do anything for the story. They're just kind of boring.
Right,
But
yeah.
in the shorter ones, like you don't have time for that, so if there is one, there's usually only one per season.
Right.
What do you think the one was for this season?
It always kind of feels like, I don't know, I always felt like, I was thinking about this morning, there's like a pattern, it seems like, at least to the first couple of seasons. Not trying to evade your question, but it made me think of this. And I think I'll try to tie in your question too with this too. But like, it always feels like you get to the third and fourth episode, and that's where things like, it's like an episode, especially like not the fourth one, I'm sorry, fourth and fifth episode of each season. And the fifth episode always seems to be like everything going wrong. I mean, wouldn't you agree that seems to be kind of the...
They call it the penultimate episode?
I guess you could call it that, yeah. I don't know. Do you really think there's a throwaway episode in this series? I don't feel like there really is. I mean, I know there's been a couple episodes, that we've covered already that were like, there wasn't like long drawn out scenes like in other episodes. There were a lot of like super short scenes, just kind of like tying up some loose ends here and there to connect you to like the next episode.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like so far there's really been any, oh, that's definitely a throwaway episode,
Well, I don't know that any of them are throwaway episodes, but I just like to call
Wasn't
them
that the
filler
question?
episodes because they usually...
I thought you just asked me if there was any throwaway episodes.
Maybe I did say throwaway
I think
episode.
you said throwaway. We're going to have to go back to the instant replay on that one, but I'm pretty sure you asked if there was any throwaway
I mean, I don't think
episodes.
there's one
I think there's
that
filler episodes. I mean, that was what I was saying about the... Like, I think there's a couple episodes, probably one per season so far, that, like I said, there's not long shots. There's short scenes,
Yeah. I mean, okay, let me clarify.
Please do.
There's no episodes in the show overall that I think I would just, like, skip the episode.
Oh, no, you don't
know?
skip any episodes.
But there are some that don't do as much for the plot,
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
I would say there's at least one per season. There was one that we were just talking about sometime over the last couple episodes that was one that we felt like didn't move the story along a whole lot. It was focusing on one or two little things that just either didn't get pushed forward in the episode or didn't get resolved in the episode. So there's just not as much... when you compare it to an episode like the one we're about to go over, like there's a lot going on there.
Well, especially for the last episode in the season. I mean, you're trying to wrap everything up. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that are happening. Whereas you get into the middle of a season, episode 3 or 4, yeah, you're probably not going to have as much excitement as you would for like a first episode of a season or a last episode of a season.
Yeah. So this one starts out with Tommy. It sounds
Introducing himself, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's narrating, but he's actually writing a letter. And the letter is in case of his demise on Derby Day. I almost say Darby now every time.
Derby. It's Derby,
I have
not
to, like,
Darby.
stop myself. And the letter basically lays out kind of his business that he's been involved in with Campbell. He tries to kind of protect his family and his business in it, saying that no company assets are used and the family is not involved in any way.
Which is true. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't lead them on to any of that stuff, the Irish business or Campbell business.
Yeah.
So, which in turn actually came to be out to be the same thing. But
Yeah. And this is almost it's not necessarily like his last wishes or anything like that. It's just kind of so he can get the truth out
right. Well,
if anything happens to him.
I think of the last episode when he told Campbell in the church, he's like, "Look, I know you have me. Yeah, I know you're going to have a plan for me to get killed. That's your plan all along. Was that I'm not going to make it out of this assassination, and so I've already made plans to make sure that if I die, then you're coming with me." You know, so he's just, to me, he's just kind of cleaning it all up, making sure, like you said, everything's tidied up, you know, loose ends are tied and everything like that.
Yeah. So as Tommy's writing the letter, we're kind of getting just the base laid for everything that's going to happen that day, where everybody's at, kind of getting ready. Polly's packing up some food. John's gathering up all their men. Was there anybody else in that montage? May with the horse.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
With Grace's secret.
Yes.
So Tommy goes to Ada's to give her this letter that, or actually, no, I guess he's writing.
He was writing it at her
Yeah, he was
house.
writing it at her place.
Yeah.
I forgot that she tried to talk to him and he ignored her.
Yes.
Um,
She asked him if he wanted tea or something like that, and he didn't say anything. So she finally was just like, I'm just going to get it for you then.
yeah. But he's got this letter for Grace, or for Ada, that is basically going to explain everything that's going on. And he wants, I think he says at the end of it that he wants Campbell to be brought to justice, right?
Yeah.
If anything happens.
Yeah.
So he trusts the letter with Ada and tells her if anything happens to him that she needs to get that letter out. I guess at the papers. I don't know who she's supposed to be taking it to.
Well, I don't think he really ever said. He just told her, look, it's already got a stamp on it, everything like that. You just have to basically mail it. He's probably already written the address on there and everything like that. It wouldn't surprise me if it was the papers, though.
Yeah.
But I always kind of wondered if it was, well, no, I guess not, because I'm sure he already knows that Churchill's involved. So yeah, I bet it's probably the papers.
Yeah.
I mean, where else would you get the truth put out there? To the media, man. To the newspapers.
So Tommy takes Ada's roommate with him when he leaves. Ada's worried about him going. And we're still just kind of bouncing around here, just showing you everybody, basically all the pieces getting set for what's about to happen over the course of the day. Arthur gets released from jail. Would they say that how many witnesses were there against him?
There was like 9 or 10, and all of them withdrew at the same time at like, what did he say, 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or something like that?
Yeah, it was the
weird.
evening before.
He's like, and don't ask me why, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So Tommy takes, I guess Johnny Dogs picks up Arthur from jail, and he says that Arthur's got to call Tommy. It's all part of his plan. So Tommy goes to see Alfie. He's taking Ada's roommate with him. Do you know that kid's name?
Is it Peter? Does that sound right?
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I don't know. But he's taking that kid with him, and he basically just sets up a big bluff here. Leaves the kid outside, goes inside, and as Ollie's kind of walking him through back to see Alfie, he steps down next to one of the barrels to tie his shoe. He kind of gets kind of far in there, so you can't really see. I mean, you can see that he's tying his shoe, but you can't really tell what's going on back there.
Those darn shoelaces, man. Don't you just hate when they come untied like that all the time?
Yeah, you have to step behind a barrel and pretend you're planting a grenade on a wire.
Which, by the way, the guy's name was James.
Oh, okay.
To me, that's always kind of like, I would think that Ollie would be super suspicious of that guy, or of Tommy, because, I mean, you're kind of on a back and forth, good terms, bad terms thing going on right now, obviously, because you guys just portrayed the Peaky Blinders. And it's like Tommy stops, kneels down to tie his shoe close to several barrels, and you're telling me that you're just going to be like, oh, whatever, I'll just wait for him, I'll just look at my clipboard and do my thing here. You're not going to be suspicious of him at all?
Yeah, I was surprised they let him in there just like that,
Or just let him in at all?
Yeah, they just took him. Well, I mean, I guess they do have an agreement.
Well, they don't have the agreement yet, though.
I mean, part of it's already been...
I guess part of it's already been done or
taken
whatever.
care of because Arthur's out of jail.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Remember, because Alfie says, that's your side of the street cleaned up, so it's for me.
Right, okay. I don't know. It was just kind of weird to me, though. It's like... you'd still be pretty suspicious, though. I mean, I would think you'd still be on pins and needles about, okay, I got to make sure nothing's going to go bad here.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially when your boss is Alfie Solomons.
Yeah, he didn't seem very concerned.
No, he was not.
So when Tommy sits down with Alfie, they basically just have a back and forth. That was basically the agreement, was Arthur to be released. I don't know really what else is a part of that. You got to imagine there's more than just that.
Oh, I'm sure there's more to it.
And on the other side of things, Alfie was going to receive, wasn't their original agreed upon 20%?
Yes, that was the original number.
Yeah, 20% of their business that goes through Camden Town, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
But it has to do with their agreement also has to do with the Tommy's export license. Because he's saying your stuff is going to be shipped with ours.
Yeah.
And they're not going to check it because we have this license. They're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to send it right on through. But yeah, 20% was the start of the bidding war.
Yeah.
That's where it was set at to begin with.
I think that's what was originally agreed upon.
Right.
Whenever they made the deal for Arthur.
And then Alfie's like, well, I just want you to take a look at this. Something my lawyer drew up here. Just take a peek at it.
He's like, don't worry, it's totally legally binding.
Yeah, it's totally legal. Well, and I think that's what he had said to Tommy too about his contract. He's like, I'm not even gonna look at it, man, because I trust you.
Yeah. A very odd relationship that they have and will have going forward.
Oh, for sure. Very on again, off again, it seems like.
And the contract is basically giving Alfie's group control. It's 100% control. And I don't know if it's 100% control of Tommy's entire business.
That's what I was led to believe.
Like everything.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess it would probably be 20% of his entire business, for the other thing we were thinking, right?
Right. That's what I assumed.
Okay. Yeah, so it's probably for the entire business. Yeah, and that's when Tommy kind of starts this bluff. And he basically has just made it look like, everything that he's saying to Alfie in this story.
Right.
That's why he brought James to stand outside the door. That's why he bent down to tie his shoelace. And that kind of helps to create some doubt with Ollie. And I think that probably weighs in at least a little bit on Alfie's decision.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But I like how you started by saying that James was he's an anarchist. And he's like, kind of like those, like the ones that did the Wall Street bombing.
Yeah.
Which, do you know about that?
No, I mean, like when he said it, it was like familiar to me.
Right. So that's something that happened in 1920. So he killed 30 people immediately, 10 people later from their wounds. Let's see, 143 severely injured, and total injuries was in the hundreds. So I mean, it was a big deal. It was never solved, but it was believed by many to be carried out by, I hope I'm saying this right, Gallianists, which is Italian anarchists or followers of this one anarchist from Italy. His name was Luigi Galliani.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently their group was like involved in a bunch of bombings in the U.S. From like 1914 to like 1920, I believe. But apparently they think the attack was by these guys and that it was related to post-war social unrest, labor struggles, and anti-capitalist agitation in the U.S. So it was just kind of an interesting thing because I was like rewatching the episode this time. I'd heard about that before, and I knew kind of like knew of it, but like I really didn't know like what all the details were, so I had to look it up real quick. I was pretty fascinated by it though.
Yeah.
That was
Well, I
pretty
mean, that's one of
interesting.
the great things about the show is that it makes you feel like it's so real because they reference so many real events.
Right. Which they're about to reference another one, which I had to do some research on, and I thought it was pretty cool. But go ahead.
Another one in this episode?
Actually, yeah, just another one coming up here in this conversation.
Oh.
Because, he starts, he's showing him, he's talking to him about, not Ollie, James, claiming that he's an anarchist, like the ones that blew up Wall Street.
Yeah.
And, which honestly, actually would be that same year that they're talking is 1920 because the next season starts in 1922, 2 years later. So, so this is something that actually just recently happened, I guess, apparently in their world. So he says that, and then he tells them about when I got down to tie my shoe, I rigged this grenade up on a tripwire, and then he even showed him the grenade pin.
Yeah.
Of course, Ollie the whole time's freaking out because he's like, Alfie, he got down to tie his shoe, man. He got down to tie his shoe. And so, Alfie, he's still, he seems like he's not buying it, but then at the same time, there is that like doubt growing in the back of his mind. He's like, maybe he is telling the truth here. But the part that I'm referencing to is Tommy starts talking about his past in the war, saying that he was in the 179th, which is the 179th Tunneling Company, which we knew, from this season and last season that he was a tunneler, a clay kicker.
Yeah.
But that's it's a real, like, I don't know if you want to call it a company or whatever. I mean, it was an actual part of the British Army in World War One.
Is it a division or?
I don't know, like, I'm not exactly sure, like, what they call it. I just know it's real, man.
A unit?
Maybe a unit, maybe probably better. But I like the nickname they gave them, the Moles.
The Moles.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But they were in charge of strategically placing and maintaining mines under the enemy enemy lines. But he says that, and then he goes on to tell Alfie that he blew up the Schwabenhoe, which I was like, what the heck is that? So I had to look it up. Well, this is an actual, like, this event actually happened. So on the morning of July 1st, 1916, in, I hope I'm saying this name right too, but La Boisselle or something like that. Anyway, France. It's a place in France. And this is actually the first day of the Battle of the Somme. A 50-foot deep tunnel was dug and extended 300 yards from British lines to German lines at a place called Schwabenhoe. That's where the Germans were at in their trenches. A mine was placed underneath them. This mine weighed 25 tons, which is actually like 50,000 pounds. It was full of aminol. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's a mixture of ammonium nitrate and aluminum powder.
Oh.
Yeah, going back to science class here. So when this explosion went off, it sent debris over 4,000 feet in the air and created a vast hole 300 feet across and 90 feet deep. Pretty crazy. If you actually look this up online, there's pictures. I mean, they say it's one of the most like the most popular place for tourists to go visit World War One places in Europe. Yeah, sites. There you go. And this one I thought was pretty interesting. They say that the blast was so loud when it went off that it could be heard all the way in London, which is about 203 miles away. So you can equivalent that to the distance between Boston and New York City, which I've never been there. I'm guessing you haven't, right?
No.
But if you look at it on a map, like New York City to Boston, I mean, it looks like it's a long ways. And then on top of that, like, you're looking at London to this place in France. I mean, there's an ocean between them too. I mean, it's not a huge part of the ocean, but I mean, it's still part of the ocean that's in between them. It's just amazing to me that if that is true, you know, you could hear the blast all that way. That's pretty incredible to me.
Yeah.
I had this picture too. I wanted to show you of it, of that actual crater here. I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. There's people like all the way around the outside of it, like looking in.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty interesting. And again, we've talked about it, man, but that's why I love so much about this show is they bring so much historical, like real life things into the show and incorporate them, you know?
Yeah. Look, and it keeps the show feeling real, even though it's a fiction, you know?
Right, exactly. Yep. So, I mean, again, back to the show. So he's telling this whole thing, and this next part I thought was pretty interesting was Alfie says, you know, I know of the 179th, and I heard that they all got buried.
Yeah.
And then that's when Tommy was like, well, 3 of us dug ourselves out. And it didn't dawn on me till this morning. Do you think the 3 people that dug themselves out was Tommy, what was Ada's?
Danny.
Well, Danny and then Freddie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I didn't realize that till just this morning. I was like, oh, I bet that's who that was that he's talking about, referencing to. But anyway, I just thought, oh, that was pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I imagine that's who he was talking about.
Right. Which, if it is, I mean, weird to think that he's the only one left of those 3 alive, you know.
Well, that would just make him like the only one alive.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the only one from the troop left.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that either. Wow. That's incredible. Anyway, back to Alfie.
but they just kind of go back and forth. Tommy throws a few things out like that, just gives him some history on where he's been and what he's done and what he's capable of.
I'm guessing that I don't think they ever really referenced, but I'm guessing Alfie fought in the war too.
He did, I'm pretty sure. I think they said it in an earlier episode.
Okay, because that was something else I wanted to look up, figure out like where he was at, what like battles he was in.
Yeah, I want to say he said, like,
Maybe he did.
Yeah, I want to say he said something about it.
Okay.
But, like, in my head, it's like yeah, he did.
Right.
I just can't remember what episode it was brought up. Maybe something with Billy Kitchen or something. Because he also was.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Maybe so.
They go back and forth and haggle a little bit just based on the information that Tommy's giving him. And what do they work it down to? 35%?
Yeah, I think it was 35. Yeah, 35 was the ending.
Yeah, I think
Because
35.
they were both at like, Tommy was at 30 and then Alfie was at 45.
Yeah.
And then he finally just gave in and was like, okay, 35. And then they did the old traditional
The old spit and shake.
pre-COVID spit in your hand and shake. Which now I can't see something like that without thinking of that episode of Fargo we were watching.
Oh, yeah. Where
When
he spits in his hand shake and he just gives him that look like, I am not doing
I'm not doing that, man.
Yeah. That might be, yeah. I don't know. I always hesitate to say that that's the best season of Fargo, but I think season 1 with Billy Bob Thornton is probably the best.
Can't go wrong with Billy Bob Thornton.
So Tommy leaves the bakery. I just made a note about the PJ Harvey song that's playing when they leave. Did you notice what it is?
No, what was it? I forget.
Naked Cousin.
Okay. What?
Yeah, I just made a note because I thought that was a really weird song title.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
PJ, you're weird, man.
The next scene is Michael and Polly talking. She kind of gives Michael some choices here, but I also thought, I said the first time I watched the episode, when Polly comes in and Michael's on the phone, he's just giving out far too much information about Tommy to a stranger on the phone that he has no idea who it is.
Yeah. Because when was that the time he was like, oh, no, he's not here, blah, blah, blah. He's at...
Yeah, he's like, he's in London. He won't be
at the
back
Derby.
today. Yeah, he's at the
Derby.
He's at the Derby. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. He's like, Michael's just like, no, but I could tell you where he is, like where he's gonna be, and
His coordinates are...
yeah, just a little weak on the security there.
Well, he's brand new. He's got to learn.
Yeah.
Or is he doing it on purpose?
I doubt it. I think he's just naive.
Yeah, he is. He's young and naive.
But he and Polly have this conversation. She lays out a bunch of money on the table, and she wants him to take the money, go start a new life in London.
And only come back on holy days. It's holidays.
Holy days. And she just kind of leaves Michael with that. She says, you know, this life is bad. I should have taken the money and run a long time ago, too. And she just tries to get him to think before he gets in any deeper into any of this stuff.
Right. Because, I mean, there's a line, man, and once you cross that line, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, ask Tommy, you know, it was one thing when they were just bookmakers. But the moment that he stepped over the line and started trying to take over Billy Kimber's position and messing with all that, I mean, his world changed big time. And it's just like, he's a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more to deal with.
Yeah. Probably tells him too that she might not come back. You know, that she might not make it back.
Right.
So.
But she doesn't really say where she's going, does she?
No, she doesn't. I don't even think she tells him that she's going to the Derby.
Right.
No, I think she just tells him that she's got to go. She's got a train to catch.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I mean, he probably assumes, but. Then we get our little introduction to the Red Right Hand.
To me though, this is a pretty epic scene.
Yeah, no, it's a good scene
because you've got your theme song for the whole show playing, while you got the Red Right Hand group, getting orders from Campbell.
Yeah, and you don't see. I mean, you don't. Yeah, this is the first time you see them at all. They're never even really talked about or anything.
Right.
Why don't you say what you were telling me earlier about the...
they're Ulster Volunteers, which is... They're basically pro-treaty, but they're people from... The Ulster Volunteers in real life were like Northern Islanders... Northern Irelanders. Does that even sound right? That doesn't even sound right. People from Northern Ireland. There we go. That sounds better. Anyway, so...
Northern Irish.
Why didn't I just say that? The Northern Irish. So they oppose the IRA, so they're pro-treaty. They're loyal to the King and UK. And the Red Right Hand is their symbol. Which is, I mean, this is real. If you actually go look up Ulster Volunteer Force, their symbol is the Red Right Hand, which I thought was pretty cool. But they're Protestant. They're against the Catholics. Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah.
Just another history lesson there.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was really like the backstory. Like I thought they were just kind of elite. Yeah, just kind of like their elite forces.
Right. Well, I mean, they basically are. They're like what do you call it, like a paramilitary or something like that? I don't know. Anyway,
it's a paramilitary.
I mean, no, they're basically like a military force, I guess you could say. The thing, though, that was weird to me is, like, all the information that I found online about them was that they weren't founded until, like, the 60s. So I don't know. I didn't really get that.
That the Red Right Hand wasn't formed until the 60s?
That the Ulster Volunteer Force. But I don't know. But then there was something else that I did see where it said it was founded in, like, 1911, 13 or something like that, but there wasn't, like, I couldn't find, like, any information of, like this time period that we're in right now, of, like, the 20s, the teens and the 20s, you know?
Yeah. Well, and the
I mean, obviously,
we looked at before, like, when they talk about the treaty and all that stuff happening, like before treaty and after treaty, that's all happening in real time with the dates that they're like, living out, you know? So, yeah, that's weird.
I mean, not that there weren't those people then, because obviously they were pro-treaty people.
Yeah.
We've already been through this thing of, Tommy telling the Irish that, hey, I hear you guys are fighting between yourselves because some people want to take the treaty and others don't want to take the treaty, and that's the other thing too, man. If you get into the history of the IRA, there are so many splits between the group over the years. Like, I was watching a video the other day about it. I counted probably like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 splits from like their inception back in like, at the end of World War I till like now. there's so many different, like, quote unquote IRA groups or like branches off of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. But kind of goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. It's like there's always, you go anywhere, man. There people hate people. You're not always going to agree with everybody on everything. And then when you get situations like this where you got these groups and they all start out with this certain ideology, well, then next thing you know is like, well, part of them don't want to go this certain way. They want to kind of go more this way. And then you end up splitting off. And then it's like those two groups split off even more, and then they split off even more. And it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, we have the same, like, core fundamental, like, values, and beliefs and stuff.
Right.
But one guy says we should use forks, and the other guy says we should use spoons, essentially just for,
Yeah, and then there's me, the guy who wants the spork.
Yeah.
Greatest invention
It's the best
ever,
of both
man.
worlds.
Which may be why they invented the spork to, make a peace treaty between the two groups. I don't know. Look, it's the spoons. Hey, look, it's the forks.
Let's kill those guys.
Let's kill those guys with our forks.
So Tommy explains the plan to everybody. Plan is to they're going to run up at the Derby at Epsom. Whenever the police are distracted and away from Sabini's bookies, then the Lees and the Blinders and the Small Heath Rifles are all going to make a move on Sabini's betting pitches. They're going to take the money, but Tommy tells them that the most important thing is that they take the betting licenses and destroy them.
Right. That's the main objective.
Yeah, because his main plan here is to, and you think like, okay, well they'll just get another license. What did that do?
Yeah, but you know how hard that is probably to get a license?
Well, his plan is to make it impossible because...
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, too, yeah.
That's what May says later on, is that Tommy will apply for gambling licenses in their place, and he will be approved, and they will be denied.
Right, because she has sway with the board.
Yeah. So that's kind of his in-game plan here, is to just put Sabini completely out of the racing business, just take him out.
And that's why I was, like, saying earlier, I think, like... he just kind of disappears into the background.
I just can't imagine somebody as crazy as him just fading away.
Hey, I wouldn't either, but I think that's what ends up happening. Spoiler alert.
I don't know. I feel like we don't get much with Sabini after this. Like, this is pretty much it.
Right, yeah.
Although I want to say, like, when they're talking about Alfie sometime in the next season, they do mention Sabini.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they just mention him, but I don't ever really remember seeing him again.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Tommy has a little scene with May that isn't really about much. I mean, he's just trying to... he's trying to keep everything separated. It's kind of hard to explain the mindset, He's there at the Derby originally for his horse that he had,
right.
that was going to race. Then what got piled on top of it was him needing to take out that officer for Campbell.
Right.
So he's going to do it there. So now he's got to be in the mindset to kill this guy too. Then he's got May there, who's taking care of the horse, but who also wants to be with him up in the box. She wants to be, the wife type. She that's kind of, I feel like, her end goal with him.
Well, she even said she's never, as many times as she's been to the horse track races and being the person that she is, like a horse owner and trainer, she doesn't get to be up there with the prestigious people because she's always stuck down there. So she's always want to be up there meeting, higher ups.
Yeah.
what they say, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, she brought her red dress.
And I think Tommy's just kind of trying to reassure her that, like, even though she can't be up in the box with him because he's got to kill this guy,
Right.
that everything's okay between them. And
Which, I mean, from her point of view, it doesn't. Because obviously there's that thing that's like, I can't tell you that the real reason why you can't be up there with me is because I'm going to be busy trying to kill somebody.
yeah,
You know? So, from her point of view, I could see where it's like, yeah, it feels like, or it seems like there's something wrong and everything's not okay.
right, that he doesn't want her there
Right, exactly.
when she can't be there. Tommy's following. What rank is this guy? Is he a captain or a?
I believe he was a captain.
I can't remember.
No, field marshal. Field marshal.
That's right. Is following the field marshal, is with a few other soldiers, and who comes up to cause even more confusion, and more stuff for Tommy to think about right now. But Grace.
Son of a bitch.
And Grace comes to tell him that it wasn't her that was the problem when her and her husband were trying to get pregnant. It was him, because after her and Tommy got together, she's now pregnant.
Great news, Tommy. My husband can't get me pregnant.
Yeah, but you did.
But you did. I feel like it's like what was that guy's name? Like a Maury moment or something like that. You are the father.
Yeah, Tommy, you are the father.
Oh my God, man.
I knew it.
I knew it.
And yeah, then this is just kind of, I think this is the point where it's just like starting to be a little too much for him. Like everything he's dealing with at the moment.
Well, it's like I was saying, it's like it's a snowball rolling down the hill. It's like I just want to do this one little thing, man, and all these other things are piling up on me all of a sudden at the like worst time.
Yeah. But he tells Grace that he'll basically make his decision after the race.
Which is like at first she did not want to hear that.
No. Well,
He's
I mean,
like, and again,
it's the same shit as with May.
I was about to say, it's like
he can't tell her.
Right. So
Yeah.
from her point of view, it just looks like
It just looks
he
like he's being
just
shitty.
doesn't want anything to do with her. Oh well, is it because I have this baby now you don't want anything to do with me?
Yeah. Was the cat sneezing?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he basically just can't tell her that, so it just comes off as him being a dick.
Right. Oh, I want to tell you so badly, but I can't.
Yeah. So Tommy keeps following him into the. Well, he watches as they go into the little bar there at the track.
Right.
So Tommy has them bring Lizzie up, and he basically tells her what her part in all this is going to be.
I like the line though. She's like, "Do you like my dress?" And he's just like, "You need to unbutton a couple of buttons there."
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what I asked.
It feels so bad for Lizzie, like.
It's like I told you. I said between the Grace interruption, which I'm just like, why right now? You know,
Yeah.
I feel Tommy's pain, and then the whole use of Lizzie to try to like, I don't know, man, like get this guy off so he could kill her or kill him.
Yeah.
You know, in a secluded area. I mean, just using her as bait, man, that's just it's so cringy.
Yeah.
I feel horrible for her, you know,
Yeah.
because
Well,
you
it's
know,
like a Kimber. It's a Kimber type situation. You know,
Oh yeah, it's Kimber all over again.
like Tommy assumes that they'll be able to like draw this out until he can get there.
Right.
But they both wind up being super aggressive guys, so there's no time for him to get there.
Right.
But it's just a bad position to put her in regardless, you know?
Well, especially for like her past, because it's like she said before, I think she said like a year that she's basically been sober from all that.
Yeah.
You know, doing
That's a
her
weird way to put that, sober from
Well,
it.
I don't know. I mean, like I couldn't think of. I mean, she hadn't been a prostitute in a year. I don't know. She hadn't screwed a guy in a year. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's like she was doing so good. You know, she had a real job. You know, she was the secretary and all this different stuff for Tommy, and you know, it kind of seemed like her life was getting, you know, on a good path. And then now all of a sudden he's like, oh, by the way, I need you to go back to the old ways. Just for one time. It's just one time. Just one time.
Yeah. And
then we'll go right back to normal.
I don't know, I'm like, she's your secretary now, dude. You guys don't know, like, one other hooker you could get to do this?
Well, you know, secretaries were expected to do a lot back then.
I know, but...
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Yeah, you're kind of right. It's like, I mean, it's Birmingham.
I'm just
Isn't there
like, you don't know, you guys can't get one other hooker to try to, like, distract this...
What do you want him to do? Go through his Rolodex on his desk and be like, let's see. No, she does not. You know, she's not alive anymore. She's not pretty enough. No.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like,
but you're right. I mean, there's got to be like more than one hooker in Birmingham.
Yeah, it seems like he could have picked literally anybody else to do this.
Right.
And I always think that. Every time I watch the episode, I'm like, why did he get Lizzie to do this? Like, their arsenal is pretty big at this point. Like, make one phone call, dude. You could get somebody else down here. So, he lays out for Lizzie kind of what's going to happen there. Bar clears out at the start of one of the races, and Campbell and Tommy are left, the only two people there.
One thing I want to bring up real quick, though, back at the... I don't know. I guess you could call it the suite when they were talking at the table about this guy, him and Lizzie. Yeah. So, you know, she said something about, do you have a piece of chalk? And I don't know what the whole significance is.
I knew you were going to talk about the chalk trick.
No. I'm not gonna say, like, I don't even know what the whole significance is behind it. I didn't have time to look it up.
Well, I couldn't tell what it says.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I don't know what it says. My beef is, does everybody just have chalk in their pocket at this time, in this era? Because she's like, you got a piece of chalk? And he's just like, well, yeah, I do, in my pocket right here. Why do you have a piece of chalk in your pocket?
Why are you carrying chalk, open chalk, in your suit coat?
Yeah, that's what I want to know is, like, why do you have that conveniently on you?
Yeah. I mean, bookies had chalk, you know?
And I guess, but, like, did you expect to use it that day or something? Or maybe it was just, like, always in his coat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying, like, oh, that was just a continuity error or whatever. You know, somebody on the production team screwed up. I don't know, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. I would just love to know the reason.
Yeah. Well, do you remember in the first season the episode where they come into the track and attack the Lee family as they're trying to, like, rob the bookies?
Yes. Yeah, they attacked that guy in the bathroom.
Yeah, and Raz is going around to the bookies before, like, he robs them, saying that he's selling chalk.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember
it's like
that
they
now.
use it. I mean, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me.
Well, and that's what I was thinking, too, was probably bookie. It had to do with something about bookies, but I wasn't for sure.
Yeah. It
just was really interesting to me. I'm like, why do you have chalk in your coat?
Yeah. Not that Tommy would need it because he's not doing anything, you know.
And that's probably what I'm more, like, on. Is like, you're not even, like, doing anything, so why would you have chalk?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be kind of interested to read, like, what she wrote on her shoe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it says. Or even, like,
what the significance is.
I mean, it's clearly just a signal to bang, but...
Right, but, like,
I mean,
why is it the chalk? Because she's like, oh, all the soldiers know it's the chalk trick. It's like, what is that? Why? I don't even know what that means.
I mean, the origin is... I mean, I don't know why chalk. Probably because you could write on your shoe with it and be, like...
discreet or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm going to imagine... in wartime, that... Okay, so during like wartime in these places where there's a ton of soldiers, there's usually a ton of prostitutes too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they like know there's soldiers there who will pay for their services.
Right.
You know, like it's just supply and demand. That's economics, baby.
Right.
Like,
economics with Josh.
yeah. It's like even further back, they would just call them like camp followers. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's basically, you know, in a tavern in wartime in a place where there's like a fort or a camp or whatever, that prostitutes are probably doing that to signal the soldiers. And this might even be in areas where like prostitution's illegal, or like not, you know, maybe they're in enemy territory and it's like super frowned upon for you to like sleep with the enemy, you know?
True, yeah.
So there's probably like a million reasons for it, but I mean, I'm going to say that's probably the origin. Like in, you know, during the war, that's just how prostitutes signal that to a soldier.
Just couldn't be easy about it. You'd be like, hey, you want to go? Okay, let's go.
No, I aimed it at the wrong guy.
Excuse me. No, not you. The
Don't
other
look
one.
at my shoe.
Don't look at my shoe. You. No, not you. The other one.
The other thing I thought during this
Forget about it, man.
The other thing I thought during this scene was, why did she take her shoe off?
She got it right on the bottom, though.
Yeah, it just...
Maybe she couldn't bend that way. I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, man.
You just cross your legs and hike your foot up. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was weird. I was like, why was she taking off her shoe? Or she like puts it on the table or whatever.
That's not weird at all. That won't draw attention.
That's especially disgusting.
Look at that woman over there. She's taking her shoes off. Of course, as we'll learn later on in this episode, not a lot that is happening in this episode make a lot of sense in terms of like the surroundings and people and like their awareness to what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
So Campbell and Tommy meet, like I said, in the little kind of bar in the middle. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you call that. Did you call it a suite earlier?
No. The suite was what I was talking about, where Tommy and Lizzie and Field Marshal.
Oh,
were
okay.
at.
Okay.
That'd be, to me, that was kind of like a suite, like something where like the higher ups go.
Yeah.
Where Tommy and Campbell are at, that's like where they place the bets. It's a bar area, but it's like you can also place bets there too.
Okay.
Because that's where Grace meets. Well, she was waiting to meet Tommy there, and she told him she'd wait by where they place the bets at.
Okay. So Campbell and Tommy are there. Another race starts. Everybody clears out. I just wrote down the quote from this scene. Do you think there's some measure of respect forming between us? Because Campbell says that, and he says, you know, two old, what do you say, old enemies or...
old foes or something like that.
Yeah, old adversaries, something. Who've come to respect each other, basically, who see each other's basically usefulness, you know.
Right.
And Campbell says no, and Tommy says, yeah, I also don't think so. Tommy also just kind of lets him know the end game, that one of them is dying today. That if it's not Tommy, then it will be Campbell.
Well, and you know, he's got every time he's with Campbell, he's got to get a shot in about Grace. And, you know, he basically tells her she loves me, and all you got was a bullet.
And a fucking wolf's head cane.
And a wolf's head cane. Which is super loud when you use it to walk around with.
Drink. Drink.
I mean, you think there was like a blacksmith somewhere. To which then he's like, oh, well, yeah, you think you've got it made. Well, you're going to have damnation lying ahead of you. And I'm going to be welcomed with open arms by the Heavenly Father. To which then Tommy says, "Hey, by the way, if I die, you die too." And well, no, that's he says one of us is gonna die today.
And yeah, whichever one it is definitely going to hell.
Yeah, they're gonna be waiting on the other one in hell.
Yeah. So after that, I guess this is. Did Lizzie already send the signal before?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
now this is the two of them going off somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know exactly where they are, because whenever Tommy runs out of there later, he says that he was in there taking a shit.
It's a toilet area.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a part when, you can see a toilet or two in there.
Okay. I guess I never noticed.
Yeah,
They look
I think there's actually a shot at one point that they did the camera's in the toilet looking up out of it.
Oh, God. Okay,
Yeah, it's
I know
weird.
what you're
Well,
talking about.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of a weird spot. I just realized that that's what that was.
Okay.
Wow.
I thought they, I'm seeing that as you're saying that now, but I thought it was some kind of areas where they would kind of like horse stalls, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I almost
It's just
saw
like the way
a
the boxes
changing
are
type
set
area
up.
or something.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's like a little maze
Yeah,
with like wooden panels.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird looking.
But yeah, pretty brutal scene here because, as you know, Tommy promised her that he would get to her before anything could happen with the field marshal. And he doesn't. The route that he was planning on taking to get to her was blocked by several police, and they wouldn't let him through, so he had to go around the long way, which was also covered by a cop.
Right. Well, they told him that he couldn't go that way because the king was about to come through there.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing too, and that's an important part. Was the king is at this place? He's at the race today.
Yeah. So there's a lot of extra security, a lot of more obstacles.
And if anything should go wrong, those cops are going to protect the king with their life.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. So he goes around. There's another cop on the other side too. So it's like I gotta get through one way or another. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah. So he smashes him with the butt of his gun, runs in, drags the field marshal off of Lizzie, and they start going back and forth. Now, this is one beef I have with the episode. I feel like usually the fighting in this show is done fairly well. There's some issues, but I feel like for the most part, the show does pretty well with the fighting. In real time, the slow motion stuff does not look great, but
No.
just because they use bad angles on all of those. But one of the problems I had with this scene was these like haymakers that the field rangers thrown at Tommy, and Tommy does like not counter or anything. He just kind of does the like weak armed, arms up, palms open, like where you
Yeah,
know,
but
like I don't know, there's so much, and it makes me think of a lot of like older westerns where there's like guys just waiting to take turns punching each other, you know?
Oh, is it my turn to punch? Okay, here we go.
Where like there were a lot of openings where it's like, Tommy, you could have hit him back, but there's, I don't know, the choreography in it, the fight choreography was just not great.
Kick him in the crotch.
If they wanted to make it more scrappy, they should have done it more like the episode where he fights that guy from the IRA.
Yes, yeah.
You know, if you want to make it feel real desperate and like fight for your life, like you don't do it throwing cowboy punches. You
Right.
know, like you don't start with the cowboy punches.
Well, I think one of the things was, so he goes in there with his gun. They just used the butt end off on the copper, and it either, well, I guess it jams on him or whatever.
Yeah, it jams
or
on him.
misfires. And so it's like, you know, you were coming in just going to shoot him like that and be done with it. And now you're going to have to like quickly adjust. And now you've got this guy on you. He's kind of on the higher ground. He's taller than
Oh, he's way bigger than Tommy.
Tommy. So he's playing a lot of defense there for sure.
Yeah.
I think in the whole deal of like what you're talking about, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think at the same time it's like it was just more of like, again, he's on the defensive because he was just planning on going in there and shooting him. Now it's like, now I gotta use hand-to-hand combat, and like I said, he's attacking me now because my gun discharged or not discharged but misfired. And yeah, I just think he's on the defensive. And he's just trying to have to think quickly. And so he's not really able to do a lot of these whole, Hollywood choreography, moves, you know what I'm saying?
No, but when somebody throws a punch at you, you at least try to counter it or block. You don't just keep your arms loosely away. It was, I don't know, you just
I
have
don't think he was keeping his arms like way far back, right? I think he was kind of, it looked more to me like a boxer stance, like when you're on defense of like trying not to get hit in the head from the side.
No. We're just going to have to agree to disagree because this is one of my least like favorite little fights in the show because there's just too many times in it where I'm like, okay, they're either like missing their cues or waiting for each other. Like it's just not done very well. Maybe they didn't rehearse it very many times. Maybe
they wanted it to be
there's just like
not
a
rehearsed.
feeling. I don't know. There's just a feeling in it that doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah. Well, maybe they just wanted to do it spur of the moment, one time, no rehearsal or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, because
I get what you're saying because it is kind of weird.
And it ranges over the course of the show. There's like really good fights that happen in real time that I feel like are done really well. Like the one between Isaiah, Michael, and those guys at the bar. Like that one is done really well.
Yeah.
Like it's all very real movement, Like I'm not looking for some crazy, I'm not looking for something unrealistic.
Right.
But I'm looking for something a little more realistic.
Right, I get what you're saying.
Like that's why I brought up like the old cowboy movies, how two guys are just kind of like, now you punch, and now I punch, and now you punch,
Yeah.
Like when that's not realistic. Like that's not the way people fight.
Right, I get what you're saying.
But I digress because I feel like that's probably the least important part of the episode. So Tommy and him go back and forth. Tommy finally manages to... I was trying to think about it. I know he shoots the guy in the head, but I can't remember exactly how they're going when that happens. Do they both have a hold of the gun?
Yes, and it's not Tommy's gun.
It's his gun.
It's his gun because Lizzie grabbed Tommy's gun and tried to shoot, and it still wouldn't shoot.
Yeah, still misfiring. Because I remember she's crying, she's clicking the gun, and it's just like nothing, just click. Click, click.
Right. Well, and she's trying to alert Tommy, too. It's like, I have the gun. I'm about to shoot, so try to get him into position where I'm going to shoot him and not you.
Yeah.
And, it's his gun. Like, they kind of get to a point where they're kind of wrestling over it, and he finally gets it kind of pushed back under his head and ends up pulling the trigger on him.
Yeah. So Lizzie's pissed. He tells her to get out of there. Tommy fires off a few more shots and tries to kind of clean up the cut on the side of his head a little bit.
Well, we talked about that shot that killed the field marshal was like perfectly timed with, what'd you say, like a bell or something? I mean, at the same time you could hear the race going on in the background, and it was whatever it was at the end of the race. I mean, they crossed the finish line when he shot the gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there may be like a bell or some type of noise, crowd noise, something.
Yeah.
To cover it.
To kind of cover that up. But then he fires off a few more shots just to kind of give himself an alibi. And he runs out into the main area. He tells a cop who's examining the cop who he knocked out that he was just in the back and he heard some guys talking in Irish voices, and then he swears he heard some gunshots. So the police run off after them because, they're worried about the IRA.
They're worried about the king.
Yeah, and the king's there again. And then Tommy gets out of there. Does he go straight from there?
He goes to the suites.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk to Sabini.
Yeah, because he's waiting for Sabini.
Yeah, we get that real short little scene of the other coppers, the bobbies that were there who, because Tommy said Irish accents, they all come into where they place the bets, and Campbell's in there by himself.
Well, and this whole thing too, like you were saying, the king being there, gunshots going off. They think the IRA is on the track, so they kind of come out with a command of every abled copper, come to the king, surround yourself with around the king, to protect him. So that goes along with Tommy's plan of, at a certain time, all these cops are going to be gone, and the rest of my crew is going to be able to lift all of Sabini's men, take their money and their license.
Yeah, because they use they use police protection. They pay off the police.
That was another thing to me. Okay, so they're all standing there. Arthur, John, Finn, all the small Heath rifles, and the Lees. They're all kind of standing in that corner by the truck, and all just kind of waiting. Is that not suspicious to you if you're a cop, just kind of looking around, seeing if there's any suspicious activity going on, and you look over and there's a bunch of guys.
It's super sketchy looking.
They're just looking at you basically. Yeah, and they're all just kind of standing around by this truck, and you're like, what are they doing?
Yeah, no, they definitely look like they're up to something.
Yeah, no coppers came over and asked, what their business was or anything like that.
Yeah.
Especially with the king being there.
Yeah. Let's spread out a little bit, guys. Let's try to blend in.
Yeah. No, let's all group together here in a corner.
Yeah.
Don't act natural. Let's not act like we're having just a beer and talking.
No.
But anyway, coppers finally, they're able to do their thing.
Yeah.
You're talking about Campbell back at the bar.
Yeah, and he says that he's taking over. What does he say as ghost? What did he say? Yeah, he says ghost something as ghost. I can't remember exactly what he says, but I'm pretty
saying
sure
anything about ghost. But
he does say ghost operative.
Yeah, I thought he said commanding officer.
He said he was going to be taking over as commanding officer, but he says something about ghost operative or something like that. Anyway, but he basically says he'll be taking over with what's going on. So Tommy and
all he says was, "I'll just take command of this situation."
That's it?
That's all he says.
Okay, maybe I was just not reading the subtitles and just listening to his.
No, I mean he said shadow the king, and I'm taking over command of the situation. That's it.
And Campbell says shadow the king?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
somehow you translated that to
maybe
ghost.
I thought he said shadow
I want you to
of
ghost
the king or
the king.
something, I am the shadow of the king. Something like that.
Yeah, okay. He
So,
does have a lot of weird sayings, so I would understand your point there.
Yeah. So after that, it's Tommy and Sabini up in one of the suites. And does he just kind of lay out for him how this is all going wrong?
Yeah, basically.
It was the point of their meeting
So he goes, Sabini tells him, hey, I've already alerted the cops that who you are, your business, and you're going to be thrown out. And so, Tommy's like, well, I'm pretty sure the coppers are pretty busy right now protecting the king. And that's when they realize, okay, wait a minute, where are our coppers? And, he made that comment to his henchman or whatever you want to call this dude. he's like, yeah, I told that dude to be here in 1 minute. He said 2, and now it's been like 10 minutes. So where are the cops? And then that's when he starts, kind of breaking it down for him. It's like you shouldn't put all your reliance on the police, and just kind of poking fun at him. And that's when Samini was like, well, I'm just going to draw my gun on you and shoot you and take care of you myself. And that's Tommy's like, you shouldn't do that here. Think about who you are, your reputation. Here in the suites with all these higher up people, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, he told him about, him breaking his promise with Alfie about not letting Alfie's bookies at Epsom on the racetrack. And even tells him his boys are having a bonfire with the license. I don't think he says a whole lot else. Just kind of breaking it down for him. His situation is like where you're standing,
Okay.
You're screwed.
Yeah. Well, the police bust in, and because Sabini finally just gets pissed enough that he busts a bottle and is about to go after Tommy.
Right, and I think at the same time he thinks these cops are his cops.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Tommy thinks that the cops are there because Sabini's acting crazy.
Right.
Sabini thinks that the cops are there because he called them to come get Tommy.
Right.
And the truth is neither. The truth is that they're the Red Right Hand just disguised.
Right.
So they bust in, they grab Tommy, drag him out, throw Tommy in the back of a van, and they tell him they're going for a drive. And Tommy already kind of knows that this was Campbell's plan,
Right. It's an action.
Yeah.
It's happening.
May and Grace are both waiting for Tommy, where they place the bets, and they just kind of have a little back and forth. Neither of them have met each other or really know that much about each other, so they're just kind of trying to figure each other out there for a minute.
What did I say earlier about Tommy shows up and he's like, oh no, you're both here and you've met. Oh no, I'm found out. Oh boy, well, guess I'm not going to have to be able to be with either of you now because you probably hate my guts.
Yeah.
Turned into a George Costanza moment.
And yeah, there's not a whole lot to that scene. It's just kind of, I mean, when you're watching the show later, you kind of realize that that's the moment when Grace comes back to the forefront and May kind of falls off, But in the moment, it doesn't feel like anything that significant is really happening.
Right, it's just Tommy's two lovers are meeting.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I didn't realize we'd gotten there yet. Okay, I guess this is when Campbell makes his report to Churchill. Yes. And up until this moment, he's having pretty much the greatest day of his life.
This is the best day of my life, Churchill.
Yeah. Dear diary, today was the best. So while he's talking to Campbell on the phone, Polly comes up. And once coming inside the telephone stall, I guess it's a booth. I guess it's a booth of sorts. Yeah. It's just not the kind of telephone booth you'd, think of.
Like one of those old school ones.
Yeah.
There were like several lined up in a row or whatever. I mean, this one only had two, but like the ones I'm thinking of at that time period, there would be like 3 or 4 kind of all together.
Okay. But Polly comes into the booth with him. Immediately pulls a gun and tells him that Tommy said it should be her to be the one to do it. Oh, yeah, I forgot to. One of the things that Tommy mentioned to Campbell when they were together before in the episode, after everybody left that room and it was just the two of them, was that he told Campbell he knew what he did to Polly and he knew what he had done to Michael in prison.
Right.
That was two of the things that we forgot to mention. But yeah, I just think that's important for what Polly says about how Tommy says it should be her to do it.
One of the things, though, that he, again, going back to the whole history thing, he mentions in his report to Churchill was, he said, may I make the suggestion of, I don't remember exactly what he said, but like, he was basically saying the people that did it were like IRA people that were also involved in what he called County Cork, which is a significant
County Cork?
Huh?
County Cork?
County Cork. County Cork. County Cork.
I feel like I'm just saying it all like the way Campbell says it now.
For some reason, I can't say that.
So emphasized.
Yeah.
County Cork?
But anyway, apparently it was like, so I guess there was like IRA people there. I think this is an actual place. It's called the Burning of Cork is the thing that I found. But it was like happened one night, 1920 in December. It says IRA guerrillas from Cork No. 1 Brigade. The Burning of Cork was a reprisal for an IRA ambush on the same night at Dillon's Cross on the north side of the city. More broadly, it was part of an ugly, intimate war in the tight, steep streets of the city on the River Lee. So basically, it was a battle one night between IRA guerrillas and the British Army, and the British Army basically set the town on fire.
Okay.
But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting when he said that. I was like, I wonder what that's actually about.
See, and that's the thing, because there's all these like little references to events that are real, you know? Like, I didn't look into that, so in my head it was just like something they'd put together for the story, you know?
Well, I think like I felt like when he said that, I feel like they've actually mentioned that before. Like subtly like that before.
Yeah.
I don't remember though. I'd have to look it up. But
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Polly and
And Campbell just basically tries to kind of sweet talk his way out of it, saying that there's something between them, that he feels something for her.
We're meant to be.
Yeah, and she just kind of cuts him off and shoots him right in the gut. Well, I assume... you can't really tell where she shot him at. I mean, he's dead, but... I mean, I guess the chest or the stomach, but you got to imagine if he died pretty much immediately, probably chest.
Yeah, I would best say it can't be the stomach, though, because, I mean, that would just be agonizing, slow, painful death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I was thinking it was, like, chest. Of course, if you think about it, okay, so she walks out of that stall with that bloodshot on her, I think her left. I think it was on her left. Yeah, just underneath her breast kind of area. So it'd be like kind of the top of her stomach. Relative to like how tall he was standing, though, I don't know exactly where that would be at. I guess that kind of looks more stomach-ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it killed him.
And then, miraculously, nobody hears the shot.
And that's what I was talking about earlier about the whole surroundings thing. It's like, besides Tommy's murder, assassination, whatever you want to call it, like, the thing with this, and then, what was the other one? I thought there was another one earlier that we were saying that, like, something happened and, like, nobody reacted to it around.
I mean, this is the only one I can think of right off the top of my head.
I thought we were talking about another one earlier. Anyway, I mean, just like, how do you not, especially gunshot that loud, and I was even pointing it out to you, it's a 2-stall phone booth. Between the stall that they were in and a table with 2 guys sitting at it, there was only one other stall, which was like super small. So, I mean, especially for them, how did you not hear that gunshot?
Yeah.
let alone everybody else in there. I mean,
I know.
even if there's like a ton of crowd noise,
like nobody,
you're gonna
knows.
hear
Not
that.
one person looked like anything was happening.
Right, like nobody cared.
Yeah. And Polly walks out, blood spot on her jacket.
And then there's that too. Is like you're not even gonna comment on the blood spot. Of course, maybe people thought, "Oh, she's just drunk. She spilled wine on her."
Well, but these are a bunch of like well-to-do people. Is like the other thing, you know?
They're in their own little world. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I don't know.
We're so excited for the Derby. It's pronounced Derby.
So after that, Arthur and John come up after they've taken care of all that stuff. I guess we haven't seen anything from them until
Well,
now.
there was the montage, and I kind of go back to what you were talking about with the slow fighting. There's the montage of them taking care of like a couple of Sabini's bookies.
Yeah.
And it's weird, the one shot that I remember in slow-mo, it looks like John's going to punch the guy in the face, but it was more or less like he ends up wrapping his arm around the guy to kind of put him in like a chokehold, but it was weird because
So
like
awkward.
look, so like here's the guy's face, right? So he like comes like with his thumb at like a side arm like this and kind of hits him in the chin and then kind of comes up and like puts him into a headlock. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking of when you said the slow motion fighting earlier. I was like, yeah, that's the part that I'm like, this looks weird.
I was thinking of the scene in the very first episode where they fight the Lees, and the camera work is just done very poorly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one too. There's a lot of like super close-ups in that battle or
Yeah.
that fight or whatever. And it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. And just kind of not that it ever goes anywhere, but I just did like the little line that Lizzie gives John about how she doesn't see the same thing in his eyes that she sees in Tommy's, and that John should get out of the business. Like I said, I mean, not that any of that ever goes anywhere. You know,
No,
not
but
that
it kind of
really
looks like it
means
kind of
anything.
planted some type of seed in his head because he's in this scene, and then in like the last scene, he kind of almost seems like he's got that in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Not that he's gonna act on it, but
Yeah. So then we get kind of our big scene with Tommy here. Tommy's taken out by the Red Right Hand into a field where they've already dug a grave for him, which is a bad sign.
oh,
If you get out of the back of a van and there's a grave already pre-dug for you, I think you're
about to die.
yeah, it's over.
Makes you think of the Step Brothers scene. What are you doing? I'm burying you alive.
At least one of these guys was a soldier fighting for the British in World War I, because Ireland was neutral. Like, I don't know if you knew that, but Ireland was neutral.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was kind of weird because all three of these guys are Irish, you know. And that one guy he'd fought at the Somme and at what do you say, Blackwoods?
Blackwoods. Yeah, I don't know what that one is.
Yeah.
So they do share a similarity
Yeah.
in the psalm.
Yeah. So they let him have a smoke.
Which, you know, at the same time, I wondered, he should have brought up, he's like, yeah, you know that mine that blew up, what is Schwabenhohe? That was me.
Yeah.
Impressed? Yeah.
Impressed.
Don't kill me.
Don't shoot me.
Don't shoot me. I mean, at least try. You never know. Maybe the guy will be really impressed and he doesn't want to kill you. Maybe we shouldn't kill this guy, guys.
So they let him have a smoke, and he's basically just kind of trying to sort everything out in his head.
I mean, it sucks because, I mean, he shows a lot of emotion of, I was so close to achieving what I wanted to achieve in this season.
Yeah. I almost had everything.
I almost had everything. A woman, the
money,
the business on top. It took down Sabini. I'm standing on top now.
Almost.
And here
And then
now I'm
it's
about
all
to get
about
killed.
to fall apart. Yeah.
Just as I reach the mountaintop,
they're
pulling me back down.
So they kneel him down to kill him. And he gives us another in the bleak midwinter. And just before he's about to get shot, he gets pushed down into the grave by one of the guys. And that same guy shoots the other two Red Right Hand members. He tells Tommy that Winston Churchill will be in touch with him soon, that he'll want to speak in person.
This guy's accent is kind of like the dude from the first season.
Not
as bad. Yeah, not as bad, though. He's like, Mr. Churchill will want to meet you in the future.
Yeah. Get out of the grave, ya tanker. Yeah, so he tells Tommy to get out of there. And then Tommy, while walking away, just kind of has a little breakdown.
There's a lot of emotions going on. I mean,
it's a lot.
From a high of like, I had everything and now I'm going to lose it. And then it's almost like he's accepting, okay, I prepared myself for death and here it is. So it's like, I guess it's like, let's just get it over with. Let's move on, and then to now my life has been saved and I've been given a second chance. And I almost wondered, like, when he's walking away and he kind of has that breakdown of, I'm sure it's more of, wow, I was that close to dying, and losing everything, and you probably start appreciating everything that you did have. The woman, the money, the business, the family, everything like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's a little thought in my head that wonders if he was almost like, I don't want to say upset, but like he was just so ready to die right then and there that it just, I don't know, the emotions kind of got the best of him. Because he does say to Arthur later on, in I think 2 seasons later, about them talking to him about, being in the war. There was a certain point where it's like they were surrounded. They had nothing left. They had no ammo, nothing. They were just kind of like sitting ducks. And they were just like, okay, this is it. We're dead. And miraculously, they survived that. And so their belief is that they died that day there on the battlefield, and everything that has happened to them since has just been like extra life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just, to me, and there's just like that thought in the back of my mind. There's just like, he doesn't, and he says several times in the series, like, he doesn't care if he dies. He's made peace with it. He was in war. He was ready to die then.
Yeah.
So I just kind of feel like there was maybe just a little thought in the back of his mind that he was almost upset to not die because he was just so ready for it right then and there.
No, I think it's a mix of many things. It's a mix of he had prepared himself to have to die.
Right.
And mentally coming to terms with that.
Right.
Then mentally coming to terms with the fact that I did not just die.
Right.
Then also him feeling like he wanted to die,
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to. There's a lot of shit that Tommy's living with on the day-to-day, from people he's killed to people who've been killed for him.
Right.
Like, there's
everything in between.
Yeah, and so I think he feels like in a lot of ways that everybody would just be better off without him, especially at this point when they're already doing well and he has probably made plans for all that money to just go to them.
Yeah.
Well,
he's talked about, I mean, like, he talked about setting up a fund several episodes back for, Carl, Ada's son, in the event that he dies.
Yeah.
He'll get a bunch of money.
And then it's for Ada's child and for John's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it means like he's been preparing this whole season. He's been preparing for death.
Yeah.
Because he knows all along that Campbell's end game, no matter what, is to kill him, regardless of the situation that he is in, regardless of the quote unquote partnership that they have going on in this whole series. He knows that Campbell wants to kill him because that was his intention the first time he met him.
Yeah.
So.
But Cillian Murphy does a really good job of just portraying all those emotions in kind of one look right there.
Right, yeah. Where's the Oscar? Come on, man. This dude's killing it over here.
He'll get one in like 30 years like Leo.
Probably so.
For a movie that's not one of his best.
What did he win it for? What did Leo win it for? Was that Reverend?
No, I think he did actually finally end up winning for Revenant.
Yeah, I think
which Revenant was good. Like, I mean, it's a pretty great movie, but I don't know. There were a lot of other movies he should have won for before that.
Yeah, I agree.
That should have just been another addition.
Yeah.
So after that, we just kind of get the wrap up on the episode and the season.
Well, and it's like I told you, I was like, man, I'm surprised they didn't end it right there. And they kind of cut out to black like you think it's going to end. And then it's like, what? Wait, there's more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I could go either way. I could go with the episode ending right there.
I was fine with it
also,
going on, but yeah.
I also do like the ending that they give, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm good with either way.
At the garrison, I think is it the garrison?
Yeah, it looked like the garrison.
Okay. So at the garrison, it's the Blinders, the Lees, and the Small Heath Rifles. We kind of talked about that distinction before. I believe the Small Heath Rifles is the gang that kind of predecessed the Blinders, because the Blinders almost seems like an umbrella term now for the Lee family, the Shelby family, and for the Small Heath Rifles.
Right.
And Arthur just makes some toast. It's basically just kind of a who could possibly stop us now kind of moment. Michael's asleep at his desk when Tommy comes in, and he says that he and Polly had a bet on whether or not Michael would take the money and run or stay and work for the family.
Which I'm guessing from what he says after that, I'm guessing Paulie bet that he would stay.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, like, I think Tommy said that he thinks that Paulie wanted him to stay, or maybe
I think Michael
said
says that. He
Okay,
says
yeah.
she wants me to stay.
Yeah, I think it was Michael. You're right.
But Michael basically makes his decision. He tells Tommy that he wants to stay, that he wants to make real money with him. And then Tommy tells him that he's got some big plans for the company. Big plans for season 3. And that he's also planning on getting married.
What? Wait, I wonder who he's going to get married to.
And I don't know, even having seen the other seasons, it's just obvious to me that it's Grace. You know? Like, does it feel that way to you?
I beg to differ with you.
Really?
I think it's some unknown character.
Oh, my God.
No, I mean, like, come on. I mean,
well, I mean, like, if you're
it's not
sitting there...
You think it would be you're going to end the season on a cliffhanger. It's like, you end with that, and you're like, okay, well, I already know he's going to marry. I mean, obviously it's not going to be May.
It just feels obvious that it's Grace and not May.
Right.
But they try to give you that little cliffhanger anyway.
May loves horses. Grace has my baby. May's rich. Grace has nothing. I don't know, man.
But I am already rich.
And I do love horses.
And that wraps it up for season 2, episode 6, and all of season 2 as a whole. That's the end.
There's no more.
That's done. It's in the books.
It's over.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
So we'll be back next week with the second of our mini-sodes. I think it's going to be kind of a history on the IRA, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing.
Okay. Cool.
So tune in next week.
Yeah. Until then, make sure, if you haven't already, and I know you haven't, you follow us over on Twitter at the Red Right Hand PO1. And you can also follow me on my personal Twitter at Joshua Lynn Gary. Got anything you want to plug there? Or?
You people do it because we are watching you. We are Big Brother.
Well, that's just a threat.
No, it's not a threat. I'm suggesting
Anything
that you should probably do this.
Anything you want to plug? And
No, I don't have anything to plug, man.
all right. We'll see you guys next week for the mini-sode.
See ya.